40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28. 27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11. 10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! All right. Hey, I'm just now downloading the intro to the show, so I'm going to come on here for a second, and then we'll do that. But before we get going, oh, here it is. Here's the intro. Let me play this, and then we'll get to it. All right. Hey, welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And yes, we are celebrating our 4th year anniversary. And I forgot to play a couple videos last week, and I was able to capture a couple more. So I have 5 more folks that are wishing us happy anniversary. I'm going to play that. Then I'm going to bring on Dion's Daily Dose. Dion, he's got a podcast in Northern Indiana. He does covers all sorts of stuff. He's way more ambitious than I am. I know he does more than one show a week. I could barely get this one going. But hopefully you enjoyed Witty Reviews, which is on at 8 o'clock this evening. And man, he's swallowed a lot of aggression. He's really on it, but he covered a lot of ground tonight. Very entertaining. You might want to catch that show. It's produced here right on the Chateau de Mars Hill Studio Network. And you just have to check it out, and you can watch it anytime. He's got his own YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. I put it on our Mouthwash Twitter, and also the the Mouthwash Facebook. So without any other items here, I do have a lot of stuff to say, but we have a lot of people on tonight. Andrew Ireland coming on to talk about his bills. Becky Cash is coming on at 9:30. We got a little change up on our format. We're going to try to make this, since a lot more people are watching, we're going to make this try to make this a real show. So, when I just have one guest and blah, 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 we're going to have a couple guests. We're going to try to make it interesting. But here you go. Here's 5 of our loyal fans wishing us a happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to the mintiest, freshest political podcast in the state of Indiana, or for that matter, even the United States. Happy anniversary, Mouthwash.
Happy birthday, Mouthwash. 4 years. That's impressive. Keep up the good work and keep everybody talking about politics.
Hey, this is Daniel Elliott, the treasurer of the state of Indiana. Want to say happy 4-year anniversary to Mouthwash and all the hard work that John and crew are doing. See you later, guys.
Hey, good morning. This is Craig and Brooke Haggard. I'd like to wish John Smits and Mouthwash podcast a happy 4-year anniversary. And a happy anniversary. Yeah, and happy New Year.
Here's a shout out from the Your Voice, Your Call in America's Mike Studios to you, Mouthwash, for an awesome 4 years. Happy anniversary. And here's to many more.
All right. Hey, Dion, how you doing tonight?
I am fantastic, man. I appreciate you having me on. It looks like I still got some camera adjustment to do. I completely changed my setup, so it's a little different. So
yeah, you look short. You look like Kilroy was here.
Right.
Like the little, exactly. Or maybe you're Wilson on that one show, the Tim the Tool Man Taylor, the neighbor.
There
Wilson.
You go. Hey, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's
good.
Beneath the
fence, right?
Yeah. So you've been a guest on our show before, but what I'm doing is I'm sort of featuring people that do podcasts locally and that are out there. I think we've had 6 or 7 so far, and I thought, well, we got to give Dion a chance to get on here and talk about his show. Dion, we got a big show coming up here, a lot of guests on, but we'll give you a couple minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your show.
Sure. I'll keep it really brief. I ran for U.S. Congress in 2020, which, as you guys remember, was kind of crazy. I then ran for state rep in 20 and 22 for District 9. During that process, I was completely uninitiated to the political world. Through the process of running for office, I met a whole lot of people. I learned priceless information, priceless info, as I'm sure you know from doing the same. I learned so much that I don't think I would have learned in any other way other than personal experience. So during the process, obviously, because of COVID, we had to get creative. Instead of being able to go door to door, my good friend of mine was like, "You're starting a podcast." I was like, "I don't want to," but that started as just a way for me to introduce myself, and it grew to political candidates, interviews, news from both the local region and national. Occasionally, if it's really crazy, international. But we tend to do either Northwest Indiana, specifically LaPorte County, or large issues nationally that affect us here. I have a friend of mine that we do like Supreme Court hearing breakdowns, congressional hearing breakdowns, try to pull out the most relevant parts without making it a little 5-minute video, because there's generally a lot more to digest there than a couple of minutes will allow.
Yep. So tell our people where you can see it, and how many shows a week do you do, and what?
So it's going to be ramping back up. I was actually in a fairly major motorcycle accident at the end of last year. I had a ultra limited, and it's completely totaled. Unfortunately, a lady turned right in front of me on one of the last good riding days. I had a few broken bones and stuff. So I'm good now. I'm going to be resuming the schedule. It's most nights. We're going to slowly ramp back up. I had to take some time off, prop my arm up. I couldn't be on camera going,
Yeah, no crying on the podcast.
Right, no crying on video.
Rule number 4.
Right, but you can see it at Dion's Daily Dose, and we're on YouTube, Rumble, X, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts, we stream to.
Yeah, you're doing very much similar to what we're doing, and there's a void that we're filling, because the mainstream media, like you said, they just give you a little snippet of what's going on, and it's usually what they want you to hear, not what really needs to be heard. So, Dion, I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll don't be a stranger. Let's elaborate on a couple of things. You got something hot going there, then let us know, and vice versa on all that. Absolutely. So I'm going to segue away. I'm going to go ahead and play a thing from last week. This is Ray Peck's, and this one's funny. So we'll replay that, and then we'll get the panel on here and get our guest. So, all right. Hey, thanks, Dion.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
John, congratulations, my friend. 4 years on the air. I'm proud of you. Out there fighting the good fight and keeping those government people honest. In fact, I was so excited to hear you were on for 4 years, I almost didn't get ice cream today.
Order for Peck.
Thank you. I did say almost.
It cracks me up. All right, we had so many. So we have fans that just really like the show, and being at the Statehouse yesterday, I saw a lot of people. Oh, the mouthwash. So, we may not have.
What happened? What happened yesterday?
There was your buddy Micah got to swear in on the Bible and stuff. He's officially doing something. I think at midnight. I don't think anything happens till midnight. So you still have 2 hours and 49 minutes left of no Micah Beckwith in charge, Brad. I know that.
And then my pumpkins are going to turn into chariots and stuff.
Yeah, and you got to have a glass slippers and all that stuff, and all that good stuff. So, hey, what do you guys think about the new format? I know I didn't even talk to you guys about it. I just said, hey, we're going to do this as usual.
We're flexible, John. We know you're going to pull some antics, and we're going to be right here along with you.
We're so well paid that we can roll with anything.
Yeah, it's hard to fire volunteers, but
The only thing we don't get a roll of from John is dollar bills.
dollar
bills.
Yeah, well, let's get this right out of the way. Taxation and stuff. But and think you talk. Yeah, I know. I wanted to say it. Well, we talk about bills. Lucy, that's good. Good segue. We got Andrew Ireland coming on, and he's like brand new. He's like a shiny new penny in the House of Representatives. And my representative decided he wasn't going to show up yesterday or today or this whole week because he's vacationing down in Colombia, South America.
Are you serious?
I kid you not. It is true, Tiffany. He has
Is
not
it
even
Like a vacation, or is it?
I don't
gonna be
know
like
what it is.
ministry work?
It sounds worse.
Certainly,
It's
he's been
not-
taken hostage. That's what you meant to say.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make it sound worse by saying vacation. He might be there on business. I don't know. He's probably down there, Colombia. What's in Colombia? Never mind. We got
Communists
caught.
and cartels.
Okay. Well,
Escobar.
he's not
Like
doing
that.
anything like that. It's like there's nothing going on up here in the state house.
Certainly, he's on a mission.
Narcos.
Feeding the poor.
Yeah. So, but speaking of people that were at the state house yesterday and today, and you got to think if you're a new member, you're not going to miss any days, are you? Is that what you're thinking? That's what I'm thinking.
Probably should.
Well, let's bring Andrew on. He's been nice enough. He's got a new kid. I would worry about him staying up late because he's not getting any sleep anyway. I think his new little baby's like a week old or something like that. So he's getting zero sleep. You can count on it. My first kid.
Why, I mean, he might be resting well.
Well, we'll ask. I think it's a little girl, but we can ask him. Let's bring him on. Andrew, how's it going?
Good. Can you see the bags under my eyes?
Yeah, you're too young to have those things. But
Looks like
Lucy has a
Congratulations.
Lucy will have a organic treatment for you if you have something like that. Lucy, do you have Yeah, that's true.
No, seriously, the shark liver oil and preparation H, that's like the traditional formula. That's what we all used when we were young, as a ballerina, and did some modeling when I was younger. I know you can't tell because this is what happens when you have 10 kids.
Yeah,
like
I was
you
going
get
to
fat
say,
and old.
how do you get them to sleep through the night with 10 kids? I know you had to have some kind of trick. Was it food in the formula? Maybe you put
This is the best thing. If your wife is breastfeeding, then you never have to get up in the middle of the night again. Because if you co-sleep, she can just tuck that baby right into her arm, and the mom and the baby regulate temperature together. So it's much, much safer to co-sleep. The only population that really shouldn't be co-sleeping actually are people that are smokers. And bottle feeders. I'm sorry, bottle feeders are also should not co-sleep. But if you're breastfeeding, man, your responsibilities just went away. Congratulations.
There you go, Andrew. I don't know if it's too late for something like that, but hey, we're going to get into your
He's a
personal
week
life right out of
into
the
it,
gate.
so.
Yeah, we'll get right into your personal life right away. So you did have a little girl, correct?
We did, yeah. It's been an amazing
research.
week.
Congrats.
Name? What's name?
Anna Grace.
Okay.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Anna Grace, Ireland. That's very funny.
Yeah. It's like I remember having little kids. They're just so little when they come out, but then they grow up to be
Whose perspective are they
brags.
little? I gave birth to a 10-pound, 15-ounce
well,
baby.
to me,
I don't. They're not little to us, Tom. That's just a you thing. I promise
you
you.
won't be sitting down for a week after that one. I'll tell you, that's a tough one.
Michaela was a 10-pounder also.
Oh my gosh!
See, we grow these big, strong babies.
I was nice to my mom. I was only 7 pounds.
Oh wow, you said maybe undercooked there.
Hey, no. Well, isn't it apparent?
Oh,
hey, we got a guest here. This is all fun and games, but let's get down to business. Andrew, how's your week going? How is this representative house thing going? Is it fun?
It is. It's been great, honestly. We are just getting into committees now, and we have the bill filing deadline today. So really, we're just getting into the swing of things. So it's going to be a busy couple of months ahead, but really enjoying it so far.
So
read all the bills.
I read every word. I'm often up with baby feeding at night, and then going through the bills while I do it.
So you could put that baby to sleep by reading those bills to him. I bet that would work.
Sure
There's a remedy. So there's a lot of bills too. And we had Witty Reviews was on earlier, and he was rambling through a lot of these bills, and yours did pop up. He had a couple of them on there. He had so many I can't remember one of them, but one of them that got my interest is I'm calling it the rogue prosecutor bill. It's these prosecutors that fail to prosecute. Now I want to tell a little story of my own right now of failure to prosecute. So in 2015, this is when Terry Curry, I believe, was the prosecutor. My truck was stolen, and about 14 days after it was stolen, I got a certified letter in the mail saying that if I don't come pick up my truck from the impound, we're going to sell it for the storage fees of $1,000+. And I'm like, what? I'm calling Scooby-Doo, and we're going to get the Scooby-Doo van out here. We're going to get to the bottom of this. So I go pick up this truck. Guess what I find inside? The thief was using my truck to steal other people's trucks. I got all the tools to steal cars. keys to all the heavy equipment you could ever want. I had his shoes, his clothes, receipts for where he went to Kroger's. I said, so I call up my buddy at Kroger and say, hey, you got any film on this guy going through the checkout or anything? Got 11 pictures of the guy going through, paying for a Dr. Pepper with a $50 bill and the empty Dr. Pepper and the receipt in my truck. Prosecutor says, that's not enough. That's not enough to prosecute. So they didn't. No. Rafael Sanchez did a story on it. You can look it up, Channel 6, or back in the day when Rafael used to do those things. So there you go, Andrew. Is that something that your bill would remedy? Would if I was to come complain to somebody at the state, hey, they're not prosecuting the stuff they're supposed to be prosecuting. What do I do? Take it from
right. There are some bad apples in the state. Marion County is certainly probably the focus point of that. But I've heard stories elsewhere too, where you have prosecutors who either under prosecute for crimes, particularly repeat violent offenders is really the issue I see the most here in Marion County, where you have individuals who obviously do not belong out on the streets. They commit violent crimes against somebody. And instead of holding them accountable, we let them off with a plea deal, we dismiss charges, or whatever sort of penalty that they face is usually pretty insubstantial versus the act that they did. There's no surprise then that when they get back out on the streets, they do the same thing again and again, or they do something worse. And too often now, when you look at homicides in Indianapolis, for example, the individuals that are charged with those crimes, they have a long history of other violent offenses that they should have been stopped for long ago, but because the prosecutor didn't do it, we have individuals who lost their lives, and that's unfortunate. The other piece of it is you have prosecutors who aren't willing to enforce the laws we have on the books as far as like blanket categories. I know we talked about that a little bit last time, but one of the other examples is the chronic absenteeism, an issue we're talking about right now at the Statehouse. Is you have students who aren't showing up to class, and there are laws on the books that say we could go after parents who are really, what it is neglect and abuse of your child. You're not letting them go to school, you're holding them back, whatever that reason may be. That's a real tax.
What if they're passing though?
Say again.
What if they're passing?
Well,
what if their academics
trust me, I didn't go to every class in college, and I did just fine, but I think it's a little bit different when we're talking about 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds here, where that time in the classroom is important. And, every day that you miss, you're another day behind.
But then, what about 14-year-olds and 17-year-olds? Because those people still go to high school.
Sure. And they have cars, and it's going to be a little easier for them, right? Now, every case is different. But when you have a blanket policy.
I was that kid that left school, so I'm just going to out myself right now.
I never skipped a day in my life. My parents would have skinned me alive.
Same here. But I just to say this, that when you have a blanket policy of we're not going to enforce these laws because you don't like the laws on the books, that's really not your role as a prosecutor. That's my role as a lawmaker. And if you don't like the laws, then you go and run for state house, you go run for state rep, state senate, and you go and make the law. Otherwise, your job is to enforce the law, and you ought to do it.
Yeah, that's what you did, and that's so. Give us a little bit of what's the teeth in this bill? How are we going to force these prosecutors?
So this is a constitutional amendment to the Indiana Constitution. I think it's Article 7, Section 13. For the longest time, prosecutors, along with circuit judges, were the two state office holders who cannot be impeached under the Indiana Constitution. The way the Supreme Court has read it, the only way you can remove a local prosecutor is to have a court actually convict them of a criminal offense. So that's a long, drawn-out process. Hopefully, none of you have had to deal with that before personally. But as you know, the Marion County court system moves pretty slowly, and I'm sure it moves particularly slowly if you had an instance, of the chief local law enforcement officer and a prosecutor defending themselves in a criminal case. So what I'm looking to do is really amend the Constitution to give us another option to deal, one, with these kind of criminal instances, but two, a broader category of offenses that typically are impeachable: misfeasance, malfeasance, the type of things that we see in other states, for example, in Florida, and in doing it in a way that I think makes practical sense, which is giving the governor the ability to suspend a rogue or non-compliant prosecutor And then the General Assembly can always step in and say, no, this governor's gone rogue. This governor's using this for partisan purposes. We're going to reinstate this prosecutor. And so I think that strikes a nice balance between the two. And again, puts prosecutors back on the same level of other office holders in the state where they can be held accountable, because right now they can't.
So I got another question, but I want to go ahead. Panel, do you got a question about this? Because I could just.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Okay, go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Lucy.
Well, as we discussed last time you were on, Andrew, I obviously was not a fan of this because of the state of cannabis laws in our state. And right now, under the current situation, local prosecutors can decline to, to prosecute people for a plant. I don't use that plant, but I'm definitely in favor of people not being prosecuted for a plant. And I also see a danger here with this as a political weapon. Right now, if you want to deal with a prosecutor, you've got a pretty high bar to remove them of, as you said, a conviction of a criminal offense. I think that's super, super important for it to be that high of a bar, simply because prosecutors have to have some strength behind them when they're going after some real criminals. And if they can just pull a few political strings and get them labeled a rogue prosecutor, then through the back door, they can have somebody who's actually trying to prosecute a real criminal pulled off of the case pretty easily. If a prosecutor says, look, I've got to prosecute, this meth dealer, or whatever it is, and the fact that their cousin is somebody in the legislature isn't sufficient. Like your cousin's in the legislature, so you're like, hey, get me out of this, declare this guy a rogue prosecutor. But instead, I think that would be too easy to use as a political tool.
Well, I'll just say this: we have the General Assembly that's always there as a check, right? So, Governor,
We have the General Assembly that's always there to conspire against us.
Well, I mean, again, you're going through two, elected branches of government. You have a popularly elected governor and a popularly elected legislature, both a House and a Senate. I think if you can get the governor and the House and the Senate on the same page about a prosecutor, that probably tells you that prosecutor has done something where they don't belong in that office anymore. And frankly, doing anything else, I honestly, I don't know if another way that you could hold individuals accountable without doing this. Otherwise, you risk the opposite, where you have a prosecutor who can flaunt the law as long as they don't commit a criminal offense themselves. So be it. Then they are the truly the lawmaker at the end of the day, because they get to pick and choose what the law is and isn't.
Yeah, and they do that. And I tried to ask Mears a couple questions at the Citizens Meetup Day, and they ran me out with the security. Got video of that one. That was awesome.
You were bullying him.
I was a bully. I was terrible. Yeah. I was jumping up and down, and
I've been escorted from the state capitol building for protesting. So I kind of
it's like we're all
kidding, John. Like, how dare you try to ask your
we're a little I know it. The nerve of me. I'm known for that. We're all sort of a bunch of gypsies. What do you got, Tiffany?
I have a quick question. So when we talk about rogue and malfeasance and misfeasance, just to make it less subjective, what type of behaviors, not prosecuting what? Because I think that some of the issue is kind of like what Lucy was talking about, is how things can be wantonly applied to different prosecutors. And when you have a supermajority, you can see how, certain people could be targeted. So what kind of things would make a rogue prosecutor?
So I think you can look at it from a statistical perspective. For starters, I mean, one, when you look at the percentage of the population that is charged with a crime and then is actually out on an ankle monitor versus other counties in the state, it's a good tell of what counties are getting it right and what counties maybe are outside of the standard deviation. And you look at Marion County versus all of its neighbors, let alone the other counties in the state, we're in a totally different ballpark. Same thing, too, for violent offenses and the outcomes of those crimes. So once you're charged with that crime, where does it end up? Do you plead out? And then what does that plea deal look like? If you were ultimately taken to trial, what does that look like? And if you compare those numbers in Marion County versus all of the other counties in the state of Indiana, we are by far and away the softest on crime. So I think that's where you look at it at the end of the day, is that's somebody that's rogue. That's somebody who is not within the standard deviation of what other prosecutors in the state would do.
But aren't they popularly elected?
Sure. And so is anybody that would be impeached, right? But there comes a point where you flaunt the role that you took an oath of office to fulfill. And at that point, we have to have checks and balances in place to hold them accountable.
But the voters don't get to hold them accountable?
the voters are always welcome to hold them accountable too. And I hope that honestly the voters will pay more attention to, I think, what's going on here in Marion County. Even within the Democrats, I know we had the Terry Curry example earlier, but generally speaking, Ryan Mears' predecessor was seen as a even-handed prosecutor who did the job that he was supposed to do. We may not have agreed on everything and would have probably had different philosophies about certain charges, but generally speaking, he understood his job was to enforce the law, not to pick and choose, and that crime is bad and that we have to hold criminals accountable. That's no longer the case in Marion County.
Are there other places in Indiana that also would benefit from this bill? How do we keep this from looking like it's Indianapolis specific?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not shy of saying that it's Indianapolis specific, but there's certainly other counties where it's always a tool there if we have another rogue prosecutor. And I've had conversations. There was a Democrat mayor, I won't name where, that spoke of his Republican colleagues in his county and said that he's experiencing some of the same issues, at least for certain sets of charges. Now, there are a lot of ways to skin that cat. Again, this is one of them. Another one that I know we've been looking at is concurrent jurisdiction for the Attorney General to pick up these kind of cases where, frankly, the local prosecutor is just not willing to get the job done. That can be anything from, right to life laws.
We're taking it out of the hands of the local people, though, and putting it into the hands of the state.
Well, and the law was in the hands of the state, right? So the General Assembly creates the law that the prosecutor is supposed to enforce. But if that prosecutor isn't willing to enforce it, then I think that is the prerogative of the General Assembly to see that through.
So it's a little bit of a county
had that going on here in Hamilton County before Garrison was elected. His predecessor, there were a lot of people who didn't think that he was prosecuting. And we had that one lady on who was raped by the Direct TV guy or the ADT guy?
Yeah, and they would not do anything with
and
her.
They would
and that
not
was
prosecute.
tragic. That was a tough one to listen to.
And some of our some folks in the sheriff's office would also tell you that they didn't feel like they were getting the support that they needed. But here in Hamilton County, we were able to handle it during the election. So,
and that's
so the bill. Where's your bill at? Is it getting when does it get put to a committee, or when is that's going on right now? Isn't it where stuff's going into committees and
we're in the middle of that process. It'll end up in one of two committees, either Judiciary or Courts and Criminal Code. But it should be assigned the next couple days here.
So I think your friend Cindy Carrasco is on the Judiciary, is she not? That's in the Senate. That's in the Senate. Well, you might have a friend over there.
Yay, Cindy!
What kind of response are you getting? What kind of reception are you getting? Are you just getting that, oh, go away, kid, you're bothering me? Or are you getting like, hey, this young guy's really doing some good stuff? How's the wind blowing?
So I think there is universal understanding that this is a problem, that it needs to be addressed. I think the biggest question and the hurdle that's been there for, I think, a number of years now is how best to address it. So this is one bill of mine. I've actually got a second one. We can talk about that in a second. But over the last several sessions, you've had a number of lawmakers that have put proposals up, and it's difficult to get a consensus around that. So, I kind of coming into that with, no blinders on, recognizing that, there's some give and take to that process. But whatever we can get over the finish line, frankly, is better than where we're at right now, where there really just aren't any checks and balances in place for prosecutors. One of the other pieces is they are barred attorneys, and you would hope that the state bar would play an active role in policing their own, but so far that just hasn't been the case.
No, there's not been any of that. It's none of that. So where did you get your language? Did you craft this off of another bill that's possibly, I know you mentioned Florida, and what changes do you see? I mean, after you do something, it's always like when I'm doing brickwork or whatever, masonry work, I look back, oh, I could have done that, or I could have done this maybe to make it just a little better. Is there anything you foresee on that front?
So this is borrowed almost word for word from the Florida Constitution.
Hey,
Ron DeSantis has exactly what we're doing here. Ron DeSantis can do that. The one category we left out as far as the different grounds for removal is a drunkenness. I figured maybe that's better for the mayor than for the prosecutor.
You beat me to that joke.
Hey, I've got an idea on this before we go, and this is something that you might kind of put in your hat, Andrew, and that is the idea of restorative justice. As a libertarian, I'm really big on the idea of restorative justice and making sure that the people who are actually harmed are made whole later. And there's a number of ways that you can do that within the system. Mary Ruwart, Ruwart, is a very great libertarian thinker, and she has an entire book on things like this. So with the idea of restorative justice, making people actually pay for the crimes that they've committed, it makes me think about, reoffenders, because one of the things that you've mentioned, which I am a big fan of, is making sure that people who are violent and commit and recommit crimes are not continually just shoved out on the street. Drew Weingartner just part in there that violent felons are getting out with $0. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. So is there a way to say or to recognize the negligence of a prosecutor to not go for a better sentence? Maybe the parole board is letting people out that it would be inappropriate for them. They're still a danger to society, and have a mechanism that we as citizens or victims can go after bonds that they post for their position.
So it's certainly something I've been talking about it for at least the last year here. Is that would be one approach to it. The part that's I think the most difficult is showing knowledge or intent by the prosecutor in the first place. It's very easy for Brian Mears or any other prosecutor in the state to feign ignorance. Same thing for judges too. Frankly, you have a lot of Superior Court judges who, you and I would look at that rap sheet and say, wow, this person is going to commit the same offense again and again because they've done it, a dozen times. There was the individual last year who had arson the Indigo bus. If you look at his rap sheet, he committed 42 other offenses over the last 10 years. But he was still back out on the streets, and it was so bad that he actually was bragging to the local media that he had a get out of jail free card. So that's Brian Mears' Indianapolis. That's where we're at today. So yeah, I think that's where we're at right here.
Yeah, we don't have Becky Cash, so we can do with some more questions because I feel like we just scratched it. Brad, what do you got?
I ask you, how long is or actually what is the bill number, just so you can share it with everybody?
I think it's joint resolution either 5 or 6.
Okay. And how long is your digest of the bill, just out of curiosity?
The whole bill is about 2 pages, so anybody can read that. It is short and sweet. If it's not on the website already, I'm sure it will be up tomorrow.
You're telling me that the whole bill is 2 pages?
It is short and sweet. You got to keep it simple.
Yeah, kiss. Keep it simple. Keep it short.
So my follow-up question then is about House Bill 1002, the education bill, that is going to be heard tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Is that Jake Teskala? Is that Jake Teskala? Is that his bill?
Yeah. The digest and like the synopsis is 2 pages, and then it bleeds into a third. Like, just out of curiosity, and I don't know if you had a chance to read this one yet, but like, doesn't that seem a bit much to try to cram into a bill?
That's pretty critical coming from a guy that runs a library. Whether you're supposed to
encourage reading. It was a lot of words. It was
all his books are abridged.
Words.
Yvonne says it was rescheduled, and here's the good news: we may have Jake on as a guest next week. How's that? But Andrew, we want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So this is House Bill 10,002. 1002. Is that right? This is Chairman Banning's deregulation bill. So this is actually the first of thank you. So this is the first, I think, iteration over a multi-year process that we're looking at of deregulation for schools, school boards, the K through 12 side of it specifically. We've got a lot of laws on the books that, frankly, we don't need a law to get it done, or we want to delegate that to local schools to make the decisions. One of the biggest issues we always hear at the State House, for example, is there's so much new every year for the school board to comply with that it's next to impossible to actually get it done, to keep up with everything that the lawmakers pass. And sometimes we don't always go back and say, hey, have we already done that? Or 2, do we really need that in the code? Or is that something that schools can go and achieve on their own? And so what this is largely meant to do, as far as I understand at least, is to take the initial crack at that as far as, what can we do to make it an easier burden for school boards to get the job done, which is educating kids to the best of their ability, and also reducing the cost on schools. So we also talk about, the funding for schools. It's always, a perennial issue with the State House, and it will be again this session. And so we try to make ends meet. One of the things I think we could do to help alleviate the burden to local schools is just taking the foot of the state back off of their back.
Wow, that's hey, Brad, that was a better answer than you thought you were going to get, isn't it?
No, that was a great. I mean, they said Andrew. I mean, he has proven himself time and again just to to have the stuff. So
you want some chat?
He's got a week-old baby, and he's talking like this. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Just say this too. It is by far, I think, the longest title in the Indiana Code. So when that digest is 2.5, 3 pages, honestly, that's a miracle. That bill is long
but that's
bill.
it. There are I want to say over, what is it? 60, yeah, it's 68 or 70 little.
So who helps him write that? The Red for Ed people? That was a joke.
Maybe Florida,
Florida helped on that one. But hey, you know what? Indiana strives to be Florida, and if you don't like it, we usually move there. We move there because all the Hoosiers go to Fort Myers. You didn't know that? Sanibel Island.
We're all racing to become Oklahoma.
The Gulf of Mexico is where everybody from East Coasters go to the Atlantic side, and Hoosiers and Midwest snowbirds go on the other side. That's just how it is. It's unwritten rule. Andrew doesn't even have to make a bill about it. It's just everybody knows it. So what else we got? Andrew, you got some other bills. Let's talk about what other thing you were going to do there, because I know there was another one that Slick Witty was complaining about.
That's great. So one of the other pieces of the prosecutor is Marion County is by far and away the most populous county in the state of Indiana. You don't have to have just a county-wide prosecutor in Indiana. In fact, you can change the code relatively easily to establish a judicial circuit however you wish. You get one prosecutor per judicial circuit. It used to be that multiple counties were one judicial circuit. So you'd have a prosecutor for several counties. Those counties' populations grew, and so we decided, okay, well, now you get one prosecutor per county. That's actually a relatively new thing in Indiana. That has not always been the case. What my proposal would be is that you take the Marion County Prosecutor's Office and you split it up among the 9 townships here in Marion County. So you'd have a separately elected prosecutor in each township, which right sizes the office. Frankly, most of the townships are larger than most of the counties in the rest of Indiana. So you could be on par with, Adams County and some of these other places that have their own prosecutor. Franklin Township is still 3 times the size of that. So really right sizing the office, bringing it back down to the people, and ensuring that at least, on my side of town, which is a very red corner of town, we have somebody in the prosecutor's office who represents the tastes and preferences of the voters. Because right now, that's certainly not the case. There is a real divide when you hit that 465 line. And,
the red wall, as
I like this. I like this better than what you were talking about earlier with rogue prosecutors, especially about prosecutors having a flavor of the local electorate. I think that sounds like putting voters in charge and not some patriarchal approach from legislators to kind of change things. I think that there would be an added cost with that because we were creating more positions. But everything would funnel to the same jail, right?
So everything would funnel the same jail. And in fact, the way I've structured it, they can share the same office. You can practice in the same court. But at the end of the day, we want somebody that is elected and accountable to the people from each individual township. And I'll be honest, I actually don't think from a personnel standpoint that we're really sacrificing much, because you have a bunch of deputy prosecutors under Ryan Beers right now who I'm sure some of them are Republicans and would love to run and live in Franklin Township and Perry Township and elsewhere in the county, that instead of being a deputy, now they would be the elected prosecutor, and they would split up deputies amongst themselves. Center Township's not going to need the same staff that Ryan Beers has today.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the head count's not going to change other than the 8 additional elected prosecutors. But I think the outcome certainly will, at least on my end.
And I think it sends a message to criminals too, to be mindful of what they're doing and where they're doing it. Because, I live in Fishers, and the highlight of Fishers is 96th Street, the north side of 96th Street. I mean, if the bad guy wants to come up here, Chief Gephardt and his guys are going to get him. And then,
that's right.
Garrison's
Doesn't
prosecutor.
this sort of undo Unigov? This is, that's another topic that we have. Unigov is coming under fire, and I'm old enough. Lucy, I think you're old enough to remember Unigov and Lugar.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a Lugar thing in the late 70s or middle 70s that they decided, hey, let's consolidate this government all into one city county building and see how that goes. And honestly, this is a perfect example of how it doesn't work. And it's just taken years to expose these things. So are you going to get any feedback or any, people are going to be up in arms about you trying to dismantle Unigov?
But maybe it's time. I mean, John, you just gave a really great answer. Maybe it's time to look at things differently. Maybe it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that that's a horrible thing to say, but maybe it just doesn't work anymore. It's kind of like firms in the 80s. Maybe it's outgrown its usefulness.
Yeah, big hair 80s. Man, I miss those days.
Some Soul Glow going though.
Lucy probably had some big hair 80s, didn't you?
We not only did I have big hair, but we had a girl that was legendary in my high school. She used egg whites, sugar, and Aquanet Super Strength. Her bangs were so tall that you could project the TV screen onto it.
She rented it out for a billboard.
The egg whites, was that a Midwest thing?
What part? The bangs?
Egg whites.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that was a punk rocker thing. I used to call myself a punk rocker back in the 80s, but after I got married to my husband, he had to explain to me that if I were a real punk rocker, I would have done drugs. And since I was raised Mormon, even though I'm just a plain old Christian now, I never did any drugs. So, I know. I was like,
I don't often speak on behalf of the brown community, but we did not know people were putting egg whites in their hair. We didn't know.
No,
we didn't know there was that much commitment.
All right, you guys, we got an important guy on our show here. You're talking about egg in your hair and stuff. So.
Sorry, Andrew, did you go up to the top of the rotunda yet?
No, it's under construction right now, so I don't think you can.
But I thought like the new reps are supposed to go ring a bell or something.
Guess I wasn't invited.
Okay, well,
thanks for bringing it up, Brad.
It might have been like a fever dream or something like that when I ran. Like if I win, I'm gonna ring that bell. Like I don't know.
Who told you about ringing the bell, Brad? And was this from a trusted person?
Oh, that's a great question. No, I'm pretty sure I saw it. Like I thought that they all get to go up, and there's like a bell that they ring. I don't know if anybody
can start a new tradition, but I'm sure my representative.
I know, and I want to hear "Ring My Bell" now too. That's
it's the song's in my head. I'm just
now it is. So we got Thor Wickelson, a loyal viewer of the Mouthwash Show. He read Andrew's post today and sent a response to it. So now we're all wondering what it is. So that's all I have for that. But Andrew, we're going to let you go because I told you to only be on here for 15 minutes. But since Becky did, maybe she got stuck ringing the bell up in the gazebo or whatever. And can make
Thanks for hanging out with us.
I'm sure she had this is another good thing about having two guests, because if one doesn't, it's all that. So, hey, we got Andrew, we got Jim Lucas coming on in a couple weeks.
What?
We got Jim Lucas coming on. We got Jake Tescalay is going to come on, and we got I got some people. I got some people that we're gonna have some fun this time. And Andrew, we want to have you back on. You've been a great guest, and you've covered 80% of why I would ever vote for you is because you're very accessible. I mean, that's how I do it. So we appreciate you coming on. Now we're going to talk about you after we get rid of you. So go read some more bills, breastfeed the baby. I don't know how that's going to work with you, but you can identify as anything you want these days. So maybe it'll work out. I know I was doing so good on the show till I said that one.
Congratulations, Andrew. Yeah, that's
it's on little. We're going to call it middle name Grace, right? Her name's going to be Grace, right? Is that how you're going to do it?
That's right.
Go by the middle name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a great awkward ending to your guest here. So, all right. Hey, we'll see you, Andrew. Thanks a lot, and we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Have a nice night.
All right. I hope I didn't creep him out too much there at the end.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, I know. Well, that's what old people do.
Like any good uncle.
Yeah. I'll just stop there.
You're
stop there.
Mouth.
Well, you guys did a good job asking questions. I'll tell you, that was good.
We're working for bonuses.
I'm a little worried about Becky Cash because I don't, it's not like her not to. So she may be stuck at the office or something. I don't know.
So, John, how was the swearing in?
It was I was yelling a bunch of swear words, and then they said it's not that kind of swearing. So it was a little embarrassing.
See,
but
I kind of fell for that. I kind of fell for the dad joke there. I was like, wait, what happened that he was?
I was in the very front row of the peasants section. Up on top.
You were in the third mez?
That's all they let anybody. I wasn't. I was way up there. We weren't. The families, they sat in that little section there, and then you had the second little thing, and I was the first seat in the first row of the peasants section. All the important people got to sit down on the floor area. So, but that place was packed. It was packed. I got to say, your boy Micah, Brad. You ever know if people say that your friend, your buddy, when you know that there's a little animosity there. Your buddy,
your man,
yeah, Mike and I get along.
Your guy.
Yeah.
He read his speech, and I was like, and he's such a good speaker. I was just, and he was nervous. I don't blame him for being nervous.
Upstage Braun, John.
Is that what it was?
I mean,
I thought Braun did pretty well on his. They had teleprompters up there and stuff, but he did a good job. Better than.
Well, was Micah reading from paper or teleprompter?
Mm-hmm. From paper.
They didn't have it on the teleprompter.
They didn't let it use the teleprompter. Come on, Tiffany. They're trying to do everything. They've stripped all this.
Lucy and I had the same response.
No, he had two little. It looks like it was double. He had like the paper you get in the second grade with the lines on it. He folded it out.
He at least had it in a notebook, I would hope.
No, it was folded up papers. He unfolded them. He put them on there.
Hey, I've been making notes on my
winning an Oscar,
Well, it was another thing that was interesting was when Braun got ready to speak, they came up and they put a notebook up there, had official guy and everything. And then he gets up there and he didn't open no notebook or anything. He just started going. And, I think he did. I think he's the type of guy that let me go to work. I don't know about all this talking and speaking and all that stuff. Just let me go to work and let's get this done. That's the impression I got from him. Todd Rokita, I love that guy. He's personable. He's got ADHD like me. He can't sit still. I thought he was going to get up and walk around his chair a couple times on the stage. He's fixing his suit. He's pulling up his pants. I was just like, dude, that's all right. I like a guy that can't sit still. But he's pretty approachable guy. He had a luncheon at the Statehouse afterwards, so I went, and it was like Gray's food. It was really good. It was like taters and chicken and all sorts of good stuff. And he stood there and he talked to every single body for hours. And then they swore in. You remember Adam Harvey on our show? He got sworn in as a deputy whatever you call it, attorney.
Deputy AG.
Yeah, he's a deputy. Yeah, that's what they call him. 300 attorneys. How would you like to have that payroll? Oh, wait, you do. You're a tax payroll. What do we need 300 attorneys for?
To go after the bad guy.
That's for the state.
I heard there's billboards that have cannabis signs on them near Michigan.
And medical licenses that need to be looked at. There's certain things. But hey, you be proud of our boy Adam.
That's awesome.
He's doing great there. He's doing great with they're giving him more work.
The Mouthwash show is the path to victory.
Yes, it is. It's the path. And unless you fall off the path.
So you watched Todd's speech, right?
Yeah. It was short.
But didn't he say something stupid about now everybody's opinions and everything is going to be shared whether you like it was kind of like a whether you like it or not.
Oh, that's Todd. That's how Todd operates. If you didn't know that.
Yeah, but
we're not
that goes both ways. So if but I feel like the screws are tightening on one side and the faucet is opening on the other.
Yeah. Well, you're very perceptive. I don't know what
I love that you guys don't argue it. You're just like, yeah, get ready.
We're just the Mouthwash show here. We don't set the trends. We just talk about them. So it's just going to be interesting to see how things go down. Mike he had his office open and I stopped in and he had a long line of people that wanted to see him. So there, I think there's people that are optimistic. I think that the biggest thing that they have a problem, that they may have a problem is if they don't get stuff done. if they don't get property taxes fixed, if they don't, if they don't move the needle on lowering our expenditures in the state. I know Braun has already cut down from 32 agencies to 8, and he's, so there's stuff happening. He's maybe Trump Jr. and Elon Musk, maybe.
So he's laying people off. Right.
No, they just put them under. They just sort of shuffled them, really, Brad. That's what I don't think we're going to let anybody off the government. No, they, instead of having the 32 separate ones, they took 3 of those and put them under another one that made 8. So if you divide 32 by 4, that makes it.
Oh, yeah.
That was fast math for me, because I'm not that smart.
They're trying to be more efficient. So hopefully agencies that are playing in the same lane will, be able to talk. And
David Waters, he's on it. David Waters he's sharp cookie. He knows all this technical stuff way more than I do. No, they didn't get cut. They just got shuffled a little bit, but it's for reporting purposes. So instead of Braun having 32 agencies reporting back, he's only got 8 that have sort of done that. So I think it's a streamlined move.
And they also moved some things away from the AG. I mean, from the lieutenant governor.
Well, and I did a little poll on Twitter. I think only 5 people voted. Brad, you might have voted, maybe, because you're a good panelist.
I love being on Twitter, man. Like, it is a friggin' cesspool
show.
I thought like people were mean anywhere else, but dude, Twitter's a different kind of mean.
They got a different kind of meanness, don't they? They got a meanness that's like practice me. That's like, it's so mean, it's hard to believe somebody can be that mean. But my poll question was, do you think that this bill by Buck and whoever was done to strip the powers, just done, for what? And it's 100% to strip his powers. So, I mean, the perception is that, hey, Micah, you can't be in charge of no beans and corn. You might screw them up. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the worst thing to do is to, take that kind of stuff away from him before. It's like you're making a spectacle of it.
It's like taking a bunch of toys away from a 2-year-old. They're going to find something. They're going to find the fire alarm to play with, or matches or something.
Man. Yeah.
What kind of message does that send to other Hoosiers, though? Like, if you've got somebody who aspires to be lieutenant governor someday, and and they choose to get there according to the Constitution.
Who aspires to be lieutenant governor?
Micah. So the thing that
you want people to grow up and think that they can do anything and be anybody.
I could have. I was convinced I could be a ballerina until the 8th grade, and I was like, 5'9".
Well, you got weak ankles and those knobby knees.
Well, my complexion is no good. But anyway, I did not feel a sense of how we have like a family atmosphere here on our show. We generally like each other. We're all coming from different places and all that. I didn't feel that down there. Honestly, I did not feel it. I feel like we got 2 ships going the opposite ways. And I don't know if that's going to change or if they're just waiting to see who's going to do what. But I honestly think Braun wants to get down to business. He doesn't like any of this Mickey Mouse. He doesn't like it when Micah talks about Palestine or whatever the heck's not important with Indiana. He doesn't. I don't think that's popular. So, but it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, but we have friends. You saw Dan Elliott. I just said, "Hey, Dan, send. You need to send. All right, let's just do it right now." Okay, and you saw it. I put him over there by the door at the State House and shot a video. So we have some friendly people down there, and and like our guest tonight, Andrew Ireland. He, I hit him up and he said, "Yeah, I'll come on," and that's cool. And so, what, Tiffany? You look perplexed.
I just, I think it's good that we can have differences of opinions within our party, but this is one of those things where you were talking about making a spectacle. It's one of those things where, do we have differences, and then do we vote based on how we feel, or do we all fall in line? And I don't know. It could go 2 ways, and so that's puzzling for me, and it's going to be really telling as to how the party feels and what the temperature is. So I guess I'm anxious to see that.
Yeah, I call it the circular firing squad. And I know that the Democrats have it, even the Libertarians. I know that everybody. Anytime you get a group of people together, And if you're around long enough, you're almost like brothers and sisters fighting. But until somebody else comes against you, then they'll circle the wagons and you coalesce, and then we got a common enemy. But when you get a supermajority for the long time that the Republicans had, there's going to be some animosity. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to be running for the Marion County GOP chairman. And, you would think, well, maybe the party would want to come talk to you and see what your idea. No, they're going to run somebody against me. I mean, the establishment people. It's almost guaranteed that they will. But it's the same situation with Micah. Micah decided to run, and guess what? We're going to go somebody against you. And to me, that's fighting in public, and it's a little different than fighting behind closed doors. And to me, it's like, and I don't like either one. We should be on the same page. If we got a problem, come to me. But nobody comes to me. Their motto is to discourage and destroy. And I've always been a encourage and empower guy. I'm sorry, I want to find your best side. I don't want to talk about what your problem is. So, but that's maybe where our philosophical differences, that's the impasse we have. But I don't know, because they don't tell you. If you go in and talk to one of these parties, they'll say, hey, go run for school board. If you win, we'll come back and talk to you. They won't say, hey, this is how you do it. This is what you got to do. Talk to this person, do that. No, none of that. None of that happens. So I've learned all that the hard way. It was about 7 years ago. I went to my first meeting. It was a Tea Party North. And I decided, well, I might want to get in Tea Party North. Yeah, that was back when, 7 years ago, the Tea Party was they were still clinging on a little bit after their 2009 victory over property taxes. And here we are again. And the rest is history. I just like looking at the sun. It burns, but I can't look away. So
when is your election for county party chair?
March 1st, and it will include all of the elected and appointed precinct committeemen and their vice precinct committeemen at this caucus on March 1st. And one of the things is that, if you're an elected PC, you cannot be removed. But if you're an appointed PC, you can be removed. And what happens is there's this thing called mummy dummies, and Rex Early, who was a big GOP guy back in the day, passed on here recently. He used to call them mummy dummies. And that's all they would do is vote. They wouldn't come in and do work, but they would vote for the said prescribed candidate. So we'll see how many, and they won't give us the list until a month before the caucus. So we don't know who's on that list, although we know who's elected because we have the entire list of that. So there's 638 precincts. We had about 220 elected. So they can fill in a lot of extras. And it's politics at its best.
So about 25% of that.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going to get that many appointed, but we recruited about 40% of the PCs. So I think I'm starting out with 40%, and we'll see. And I think that we should be able to get another 20% on board regardless. So that's the 60% on the first vote. That's my goal. So there you go. I just laid out my strategy. Oh dear. but we have a good team, and we have a good message and all that. And it's just
John, you've grown a lot in the last couple of years. I think running for Congress was really good for you. Just kind of getting a sense of who your supporters are and how you can be a lightning rod for change, and how there are people who think similarly to you. And I think that I think people, I think people are treating you differently and showing you a lot more respect. So, best of luck.
Well, and that is apparent. I mean, when you learn this stuff, like I said, I started 7 years ago and made all sorts of mistakes, and I've admitted those mistakes. And I think most of the people have forgiven those mistakes. But as I said, they don't come in and tell you what to do. They just sort of discourage you. I remember having a meeting with Jim Merritt, and all he did was try to discourage me the whole time from running. He said, and it sticks out in my mind. He says, well, you gotta love to go to meetings. If these meetings, it's all the time meetings. And it was just nothing but, you don't want to do
You're like, I love meetings. Like,
I don't love meetings, but I mean, it's like, it's part of the job. And I've always been a guy that gets the job done. It's like, what's that thing? I get stuff done. Google me. So it's like,
Is that whose quote is that? Is that from like a movie?
That's Signetti with IU. He says, I'm a winner. Google me.
Oh, okay.
I try to use that one. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad I had to explain it. So
That makes it funnier.
yeah, that makes it funny. Okay. Thanks, Tiffany. Lucy, quit laughing. Brad, you quit laughing too. I'll make fun of you and Alvin. Hey, Brad, while we got a few seconds here, tell us about this Alvin Louis fight you got going on.
Yeah,
Girl fight.
Oh man, it's been pretty funny. So I don't know what his whole deal is now. He's with Courage is a Habit is his handle on Twitter. He also has his Alvin Louis Entertainment one that I follow and send stuff to as well now.
Because he's a magician.
Yes. And so, and I don't think that he hides from it, but when he argues, I just still want to remind people of what they're listening to. And it's not even the magician part. It's he has ones where it's like, do you want me to help build your brand, or do you want me to help with marketing? Can I like
steal your
helping
wife?
you help yourself kind of a thing? And he has like step-by-step things. And I'm like, no, this can't be the guy who's yelling at everybody, trying to call me a pedophile, trying to call me, but he makes these little, he makes like little infographics with my face in them. And I'm like, he spends the time to do that.
I've had fans like that.
If you get a picture and you go on Canva and you do a background remover and then you upload the other image, you can easily put it on top of something else. I'm not saying we have to.
I'm just saying, Tiffany, like the effort has to be there.
Yeah, I mean it's a couple minutes. It's not like he had to go to Photomat and take the negatives and superimpose.
Don't take this away from me, okay?
Photoshop, you know.
He had to go there, walk to school both ways uphill in the snow.
Yeah.
But he, we're talking about school libraries and public libraries, and he's trying to like catch me saying that,
you want to turn it into a public bath.
Yeah, and like he's been dragging in drag queen story times, and he'll kind of lose what the topics are, but then he'll try to tag everything to like libs of TikTok in an effort to.
And this is all on the Twitter. So, and we were talking about.
And so every time he does it, though, I hop on and I'm like, "Hey, Alvin, is this still you?" Because he keeps on saying that he's like, "Yeah, you ran away like a bitch because you're afraid to talk to me one-on-one," and I'm like, and so I keep going to each one of his posts. Apparently, he doesn't think that I have that much time, or like I
work in the library.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was off, but still.
You got porn to move around in the library. You don't have time for him.
No, and it's so like, he's like, this is porn. And it's like, he's just doing the exact same thing that he was doing in Carmel. And I keep asking him about Unified Carmel and Purple for Parents. If Jennifer
do you think
Williams is still with
he's getting paid? Is he getting paid to do this stuff? I know that there's paid agitators that are out there.
Well, he's doing a lot of agitation in Maine right now. Like a lot of his Courage is a Habit stuff is. And so, but that's it too. Is like, I don't know. He hired
basically from California, so maybe that's part of building his brand is changing.
Going around the United States, just fucking up communities. Sorry.
It's okay. We don't say cuss words on this show, but that's all right. You're a Democrat. That's okay.
But seriously, like, I don't understand why he just wants to like light a dumpster fire and then move on to another state.
Yeah, we were talking about Twitter. We were talking about Twitter being a dumpster fire, and on there, it just seems like there's extra meanness on Twitter of things, and
but that's how people really feel.
No, it isn't. Like,
but do you think that they're just like, wow, I'm just going to write this really mean stuff just because?
No, I think you're right.
I think so much of it is for show. I think
it is. I think there is definitely some of that. So anyway, let's do this. Let's go to the tinfoil hat moment here. Let's see if I still got it. Yep, I got it. Boy, I was really prepared for the show. I had the stupid intro downloaded, and then I couldn't find it, and then I had to re-download it when it was. Never mind. You don't want to hear producer stories, but anyway, let's do this. How's this?
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
That's good to see. At least Brad's still playing along with me. I got these colanders over here. When I see you, you can fix it up. Oh, I got mine on backwards. Hold on. The reception wasn't coming in. All right, that's better. So okay, I'm going to start out. Tonight. I'm not even letting you have an opportunity here to do this. Okay, so here's the latest rumor that I've heard. Okay, so you've heard about this TikTok ban coming into effect, right? Well, from what I understand is if they are to sell their interest to someone else, then the ban does not take place. Does anybody else know if that's correct? Lucy, do you know much about this? So I think they're trying to divest the name of this company. Well, I got a phone call the other day from this other company. I can't say their name. And they said that that Mouthwash could buy the TikTok for America. I'm like, well, let's see if I have to talk it over with my colleagues here.
What would we buy, the name or what?
We would buy we buy the U.S. interest. We would still have the TikTok. We'd just be the owners. We'd just be pretty much taking their place. So
I will donate my yearly salary to the cause.
Okay, we got one.
Every
We
penny.
got one. Yeah. And Lucy, how about you? Tiffany doesn't look like she's going to be in on this.
I'm all in.
Okay,
I wanna
I'm
be
in
in.
too. All right, I'll let them know. I'll keep you posted on it. But that's the latest rumor mill going around. We only have till I believe Friday to act. But
So how much do I need to Venmo you?
well, I'll let you know. I'd take cash up.
What do you want? What do you want?
Nickel 59.
How much is this going to cost me?
It's gonna. You better get out your gold bars you got hidden under the attic there. So that's
How much is it going to cost me?
It's only going to be about. Well, Twitter was 43 billion. This one's going to be about 82 billion. But I mean, between us, that's only about 20
How much?
billion each.
How much if you put it in my hand?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's around the moon and back.
How much for just one tick?
Not the top.
Can I buy a vowel?
We don't need the talk. We just want the tick.
Oh boy. All right. That's a good one. All right. Somebody else have one. That's the best I could do.
Well, I already posted the receipts to the websites in the comments stream. And I just want to talk about exactly what's behind me, which are directed energy weapons. We saw in Lahaina that things that were blue mysteriously didn't catch on fire. So, blue umbrellas next to a completely leveled, burned hotel, blue cars right next to red cars, and the blue cars were, decimated. And I'm sorry, the blue cars were okay, but the red cars were decimated. Still haven't accounted for all those children that were put on school buses and then, allegedly dropped at home to burn. But in reality, the school buses have never been recovered either, not even the carcasses. So there's a lot of people that suspect that there's some pretty heavy sexual trafficking or human trafficking of children, at least, going on there. We're seeing reports from LA of things that are blue and also homes that did not have smart meters that did not burn. And so I think it's pretty interesting. So I've been challenged the last couple of days on Facebook with people saying, I'm not gullible. This directed energy weapon thing, Lucy, you're just, you can't fool me. I'm not gullible. So I went right to Lockheed Martin's website and stole this picture. And then I also posted a link to their PR page and them talking about directed energy weapons. So they have directed energy weapons that are mobile and mounted on, Jeeps and Humvees and things like that. They have them mounted on tanks. They have them mounted on ships. They have them mounted on, airplanes. So certainly, they have airplanes that could, if they're blowing up missiles in midair, how hard would it be to get a target on the ground? And we're also coming up, so those of you that don't know, on LA being a smart city 2028. So, before you do any major construction project, you got to do the demolition first.
Man,
And
that place is, some of those pictures is hard to, it's just hard to deal with. Woo.
Well,
I was surprised that they
I
did
think
it.
that I like that. I like that conspiracy theory. I certainly think,
It happened in Hawaii.
I had to purse my lips when you said directed energy, and it's like it's a laser. Why wouldn't you put a laser on
Dr.
a
Evil,
item?
laser beam, laser beam.
No, but why wouldn't you put a laser on something? That's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's genius.
Yeah, they can. So before we go to the next person that has a conspiracy, the other one that I have actually two. I'm going to put this out here before I forget, because I'll forget because I'm elderly. The Chinese had a satellite that was taken down by the U.S. military. That's why all the drones dropped down there on the East Coast, because they were being controlled by this satellite. So our Army, our Air Force, or Space Force, maybe Trump's Space Force, took down the drone and it crashed back into orbit, and then the drones went away. That one may not be as much conspiracy. That's a conspiracy fact, Lucy. I know Tucker Carlson said it, so it's got to be true. Maybe.
Jesus.
Yeah. All right, Brad, what do you got? Anything? The White Sox are getting ready to start their season, aren't they?
No, they're still. I'm waiting for them to do single game tickets, and they're dragging their feet. They want me to buy like a 9-game package, and I don't want to go watch them lose that much.
You got to take 7 losses, and you got to call it.
Yeah, that's a big investment, I think. My conspiracy is about how deranged Jack Smith leaked, or he sent out his report based on all the evidence on Trump and from the unselect committee, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Because they threw away all their stuff, even though it's still on the websites and everything. You can still read everything that they investigated. Yeah. Did you guys read the report at all? Just out of curiosity.
No, I knew that did they leak it already out? I mean, it wasn't leaked, but the judge
they just released it.
Okay. No, is it a nothing burger, or is there stuff there?
Like, if you believe what is written, yeah, it's a lot. But if you just don't care what he does,
then
it's nothing burger.
Well, I heard somebody compare,
and I think that's where we're at. If you just don't care, you just don't care. But he did a lot of shady stuff. Try to stay
Trump
in
University,
office.
And somebody was comparing, the Biden corruption to the Trump corruption. It's like, well, he had Trump University. That was a boondog all messed up.
No, I'm talking about trying to stay in office.
Trying to stay in office. It's something, but it's like they didn't get it done in time, and they did it bad. I mean, I don't know.
And so is that? But how many times did Trump delay the trial or ask for like a continuance, or it just got?
He was busy running for president.
He stonewalled the thing.
Oh my God, Tiffany! This is why I love talking to you guys, because you do the side eyes when you know that you're lying. So
we need captions. Busy. I wish I could put captions on there, like little air things out beside our head, and put in comments for everybody. Well, my thing is, Brad, you're right. It's the way it was rolled out, the perception of, they tried to shoot him, or whoever they tried to shoot him. They tried to prosecute him. They tried to do all this stuff. I mean, at some point, people start thinking there might be something there, and then they turned Trump into a victim. And that's exactly what they did. They turned Trump into a victim, which is, I don't know how you could ever do that, but we watched it happen. And then everybody in America loves that underdog, loves that guy that's going to come through the fire, and he's going to come have his cape on and his suit.
The whole reason we have Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Creed.
Yeah, Creed, and
like Rocky lost in Rocky 1, and he admitted, it wasn't like he challenged the decision, and that was the plot of Rocky 2.
Well, I don't think
I think he was
a little punch happy. He won. He got Adrian. Adrian got a better job.
And he was fighting the Russian. Remember the Russian fighter? He fought the Russian fighter too.
He made it up the stairs.
Brad, you're not going to win here. You hit the nail on the head.
Distract me with pop culture until I'm like, oh yay! All right, I'm going to go watch Rocky.
How old are you?
41. My favorite Rocky is Rocky 3.
You're almost are you a Gen Xer or?
No, I'm apparently a Zennial.
A Zennial, that's between a Z and a
it's
millennial.
Something about the fact that
you're an old millennial.
Yeah, it's like from 77 to 83, I think.
And you fit right in that, and so that's
I hate that I know that.
Tiffany, you're right. That's what's the matter with him. He's in that.
He's just a kid.
He's just a kid. Yeah,
Here
that's
comes the
right.
baby.
So what a show this is, I tell you. All right. Anybody, Tiffany, you got anything? You got a big, I mean, we had big, you know, this has been 4 years of this stuff.
I got nothing. I
Nothing.
mean,
You're just glad
it's
to be
funny.
here.
There's snow outside, so I can see if he comes by.
Yeah. Oh, it's no, it's yeah. We're
Yeah,
supposed to
I
get some
could
more too. It's supposed to get super cold. It's supposed to be below zero. My chickens will
know.
probably be frozen to the ground tomorrow. I have to go pry them up. It'll be something else. Yeah, they stay out there in this. They're hardy.
No, but
chickens.
like, wait, do you mean like pry them up dead? Or
No,
like,
they'll be alive still. Their feet are just.
I guess their feathers get stuck, not their skin.
Hey, I want to ask a question. Maybe Lucy, you know this. How the chickens don't have socks or anything? How do their feet don't freeze off? I mean, it's just like raw skin on the ground.
You know what? I actually don't know the answer to that question, but I know in most of the chicken, I know. Like,
I know,
let's
really. We
get
stumped
that.
Lucy.
Wait a
on
minute,
that.
Brad's a
It only took 4
librarian.
years.
Wait, Brad.
Oh,
What
yeah.
section can we find the answer?
birds. I usually steer clear of that, but I'm guessing it's like 535 in Dewey.
Birds aren't real.
Hey, I bet you Micah
Zoology
Beckwith would know.
birds.
Oh no, he wouldn't. He's not in
Chicken
charge
feet.
of that anymore.
There's not. It's not pornographic, and he wouldn't
Naked
make a
chicken
sign
feet.
over it and hang it
Naked
behind
chicken
him.
feet is not porn. Naked. You got naked chicken feet in your library, Brad? I'm gonna go tell Alvin Louis right now.
Oh my god,
That is too
yeah.
funny. But most of the people that are in my homestead groups are against the idea of heating their chicken coops.
Yeah, you don't.
And in fact, it's very well known that you need to have, some sort of ventilation to allow the moisture to escape because
Mhm.
staying dry is a big part of staying warm. A lot of people don't realize
Yeah,
that.
that is
That's a big part.
they get used to it. And you should see how furry our feral cats are. That's how I knew it was gonna get cold. I mean, that we got WTF Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday got ran over. So we got Wednesday and
Oh,
Friday
that's
still. Because they were feral cats. So when I saw them, I said, WTF. And Lisa goes, oh, that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Oh, yeah, that's what that means. But man, Wednesday is just, he is like a big old Garfield puffball of fur. I mean, and they got their little styrofoam things on our porch. And we have actually 5. We've inherited 3 from our neighbor. Lisa's turned into a cat woman. But it is
Sunday.
so, and you know how their hair grows. Now, do you know this, Lucy? Do you know how the hair grows on these animals? That, it's not because of the temperature, it's the daylight. When daylight starts getting less,
Oh, that makes sense.
horses and so I learned this when I used to have race horses. When you were to breed a horse and you want a horse to be the fastest, best 2-year-old, you'd have to breed them. A horse gestates in 11 months. So you would breed them in January so that they would be born on or end of January. So they'd be born on the 1st of January. So you would have a really fast 2-year-old that was entirely 2 years. So you have to put lights on them to make them think it's breeding season. So that's I'm like, oh, I'm just saying.
You know what? We actually did that with
That
tomatoes when we
explains
grow
so
them in the
much about the
greenhouse.
dating world.
Yeah.
Sounds romantic.
Is that what you
I'd
need,
like to
Tiffany? Put
point
light
out
on people?
actual studies done on professional athletes, as you'll find that, and the study that I read was about hockey. But anybody that's had a kid in like hockey, or soccer, you got like the U10 league, but you've got younger U10s and you've got older U10s. So what they showed is that the kids that had certain birth dates, like in January, when they show up to be in, they're an older U10 than a younger U10, and so they're playing. They have the advantage being an older U10 playing against a mix of younger U10s. And so they actually are more likely to become a professional athlete because they perform better, they get recruited, they go to better colleges. So
Yep.
think about that.
Well,
If people are serious.
and if you're a bike racer, whatever year you turn that, you get accounted. So I was born in September, so I have a 9-month. Now I do have a friend that was born on January 1.
So,
So-
okay, if we pull this forward and we're looking at like, if you're trying to make a high school football player, we would want him born like the day after Labor Day. So he would be an old
or
5-year-old
young.
starting school.
That's what got me second. I had to take second grade. I'm September 13th. So my mom started me early. Well, little
Same
Johnny
here.
couldn't read. You can read, Lucy. I'm sure of it because you're a girl.
I did.
I can
yeah,
read.
I read
I couldn't
before.
even physically cursive write. And they said, hey, Johnny, you got to take the second grade twice. So then I went into that category you're talking about, and I was, the rest is history. I was a college athlete, blah, 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 blah. So, but before I was just some younger kid. Now I do have some other kids that did actually make that happen, and they weren't athletes. So actually, no, they weren't. So I guess that makes some sense. So
you can always just forge a birth certificate too, you guys. Like, we don't know when we were
We're
born.
talking about working with God's plan, and you're talking
Yeah.
about like lying and conniving and
do the side eyes.
fraud. Why would you endorse something like that? Why would you want to?
It's a lot easier.
You know, actually, Brad, you have an excellent point. The only reason that I believe that I was born on September 14th is because that's what I was told, and somebody wrote it down on a piece of paper. I mean, I was there, but I couldn't attest to it.
Yeah.
So
But that's why they're witnessed by other people. I mean,
but are they
But
trustworthy?
if it
Were they
means,
Democrats? Can we trust them?
I mean, did you
if it
trust
means
the
getting
doctor to get you out safely?
Stephanie,
No,
we're talking about
not
the
at all.
U10 leagues here, okay?
Okay.
You got to do what you got to do.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Me
You're
and
right.
Lucy are like New Year's babies. That's 40 weeks exactly as Lucy's. 40 weeks is September 14th, so, and I'm September 13th. So we know what our parents were doing on New Year's Eve. They were boozing it up and taking
John,
their pants off.
John, I hate to tell you this, but it actually would have been the first 2 weeks of December, because where you end up being pregnant for 10 months. They tell you it's a 9-month
That's why I was
gestation,
only
but they
7 pounds
lie.
14. I
So
was
y'all
only
are
7 pounds
Thanksgiving.
14.
Y'all were really conceived on a late
I was
Thanksgiving.
You
undercooked.
should have been a Libra.
Thanksgiving was the 28th.
I was undercooked. I was undercooked. Yeah.
That Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Ooh.
Well, then I had two sisters right after me, so we're like Kentucky cousins. So we had December and a June, so it just all lined up. Okay, that's enough, people. We got stuff to do. I don't know what we got. I'm going to the inauguration this weekend. That's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Got stuff going on out there. Gonna go out. Tiffany's going too.
Wait,
yeah,
Tiffany, you're going?
Yeah, everybody's going. Not you, Brad.
Like
You're not
tickets to
going.
the swearing
Your
in,
team didn't win.
ball,
Your team
the
did win.
rally.
No.
Lucy, your team
My
didn't win
rally
either,
was
but our
January
team won.
6th, right?
Me and
Because
Tiffany.
that's what losers do. Is they storm the Capitol on January 6th.
I'm gonna put buffalo horns on
That
this
should be the day that they
and
protest.
That'd be fun.
paint my
That'd be really
face
fun.
and see how that goes.
So I will tell you that if I see somebody in a furry vest and horns, opposite direction for me. Just.
I thought you would say
it for your dreams.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd come back and say, "Hey, I got married at the inauguration to the Buffalo Man."
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, it hadn't gotten that bad yet. Join me on February 5th at MCL in Castleton. There's a solo seniors event, 50 and up.
What the what? What's that
I
mean?
found it in the Criterion. It's the Catholic newspaper that comes to the house. It's a Catholic singles call out, 50 and up.
Well, there you go.
Go ahead, Brad. Say something. Go ahead. What you got?
Oh, that sounds like a shindig right there. That's
The MCL part or the Catholic singles over 50? And I see all that side.
This is
You
how I
combine
can see
those
this
two
going.
and
It'll be like little seminars. It'll be one seminar will be what prescription drugs are you on, and then the other one will be when is your next doctor's appointment, and then
That's
there'll
how
be
you
one about
segregate the room.
how to talk about
Hey,
the
everybody
weather.
on 4, 5 or more meds over here. Cardiac
Yeah.
patients
Meds in
over
the corner.
there.
Hey, John, if you look down in the comments,
Night
Ivana's
drivers
given
in the
us.
front.
She's given us a great show idea, actually, because she wanted
Who's
me to
this?
talk about serotonin down there, Yvonne. So here's the deal. A lot of people don't know that gut bacteria is really important because you manufacture a lot of your chemicals that your brain needs, gut-brain connection, right? And so if we could find an honest doctor, I mean, we've got Dan Stock, so we could always ask him, but we better get him a Starlink before he comes on. But the point is that it's been done in multiple studies that shows that the SSRIs, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, they are no better than a placebo, and yet they come with really like terrible risks, homicidal thoughts, suicidal thoughts, all those kinds of things. So if we could find an honest MD that actually helps people get off of those, then maybe we could talk about, gut health and serotonin and melatonin and your circadian rhythms and why you need to be out grounding in
Can it be a
first light.
placebo though if it's causing like psychoactive kind of symptoms?
No.
What they're showing is that when you have somebody that's depressed and you put them on an SSRI, that their outcome is no better than a control group that received a placebo. Like the
Well, it wouldn't
results are
get
similar.
approved if it didn't separate from placebo. It has to be statistically significant.
It would only get approved if the FDA is paid to get it approved. The FDA gets 60% of their funding from the very companies whose drugs they have to approve.
Yeah.
And we
Exactly.
know
And the
Vioxx,
data, I mean, the data that
they lie. They lie. Merck
so
lied
it's
about
all a
Vioxx.
lie.
Yes,
So
That name.
Yvonne is talking about some doctor from McDonald's on here.
Okay.
Roger
Yeah.
McFillin.
Dr. McFillin.
Dr. Feelgood.
If you put that Dr. McFillin a prescription, that's what I.
So I will say this because Tiffany used to be pharmacy rep and she has some personal integrity. But
Oh
people you're
gosh,
working
I
with
know
maybe-
that there's some. Oh my God, let me.
Let's talk about
Oh,
just
yeah.
60 seconds. 60 seconds on Merck, who also happens to make the MMR and the Gardasil vaccines. But they had a product called Vioxx. That was a product they can be sued for, unlike vaccines, which they can't be sued for. So Vioxx caused the death of over 60,000 Americans that they will admit to and did in court when the class action lawsuit came about. It was the very first class action lawsuit in which criminal liability was admitted to and fined for. And so the entire fine that Merck paid for that was over $1 billion. So that was like the other thing that was interesting about that class action lawsuit. They had over 150,000 people that were identified to have had strokes. And it came out that they had falsified data in the studies in order to get it approved because they are under such tremendous pressure from their shareholders. So Vioxx was an NSAID, non-steroidal
Inflammatory
anti-inflammation drug. Yeah. And the actual truth is that it performed no better than plain old ibuprofen. But they have to
Yeah,
have that
but
novel
the
drug
thing
patent.
is, Lucy, I'm with you, and I'm sure there's tons of conspiracies out there. But the thing is that like they don't hide data; they just don't bring it to the sunlight because it's already there. But one of the things I was surprised, I thought you were going to say when you're talking about the SSRIs and gut health, I did not expect you to say that it did not separate from placebo. I really expected you to say that there's a link between SSRIs and disturbing gut biomes because we all
Oh, I'm
know.
sorry. I left out. Yeah, I'm thinking so fast. I'm trying to
Okay.
get so much stuff out that the thing that I was putting in about gut health is the fact that every time you take an antibiotic and it wipes everything out, then all the good gut bacteria have to be reestablished. Some of them never get reestablished. I'm at a distinct disadvantage because I was born by cesarean section. People that are born by C-section because they don't go through the vaginal canal and get that initial, vaginal flora from your
Squeeze.
mother,
Mhm.
our obesity rate is 200% the rate of a vaginal birth. Just that one thing. And then there's a doctor, Dr. Berg. Now, he is a Scientologist, so I refuse to buy any of his supplements. I'll go buy him someplace else because I don't want that. I don't want them to have any money. But Dr. Berg did a video on L-reuteri, which is it's a probiotic that 96% of us are lacking. So 96% of us don't have this. So he's got the work of, and I can't remember. I got the guy's book. What's the doctor's name? Anyway, he's on YouTube as well, and he has an L-reuteri. I think it's Reuteri. That is in a capsule. So you can take some plain Greek yogurt or some, milk and make your own yogurt, and then you can add the L-reuteri to it, and you can actually grow your own L-reuteri and repopulate your own colon. That, by the way, your appendix is not a vestigial organ. Its actual purpose was finally discovered. It serves as a reserve of your probiotic bacteria. So if you have, some sort of sickness that makes you clean yourself out or you get poisoned in some way, your appendix is there to repopulate your colon. And I had mine out on 13 when I was 13. So between that and menopause and the stress of being on this show with John, I'm fat.
Well, that's
Well,
enough
at
to make
least
somebody.
if you needed
Cortisol
at least
got me,
if you
John.
needed a transplant, you could get some of Dorn's biome.
Biome that
I
he's
don't think I
growing.
need anything else
GI.
from him.
So,
We have 10
so it's
kids.
interesting.
No,
Lucy,
no,
you start.
God, no, Tiffany.
You, I'm trying to change the
Uh,
subject here.
Well,
Since
you
you've
got
been talking about this, our viewers have been just chatting in the chat here. So I think that's something we did. Maybe I call up Dr. Stock and get him on the horn next week. We got Lucas in a couple weeks. I haven't heard
this
back
one
from
lady
Jake.
saying that she regretted taking an SSRI.
I can see people saying
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry, Wilbo's World.
Yeah, I don't know.
starting an SSRI in high school.
Yeah. So what is the
That's something I
SSRI?
regret greatly, though it ultimately
Selective
helped me wake
serotonin
up to the
reuptake inhibitor.
corruption.
Okay.
The studies are manipulated, starting SSRIs. I think the secret to the chat is you have to follow, sometimes you have to follow one person so you can get their full stream of thoughts. Because if
Right.
you read everything, it can just be a lot.
Took 2 decades
Well,
to get up. Started
yeah.
it in the 90s. And and that's what I wonder about these, this ADHD drugs and things. Because I was
but coming off of
obviously
like SSRIs are hard. I mean, it is weird too. Like your body does some things that you didn't think were gonna happen. Like full body like shudders. Like I was holding on to like electricity a little bit. Like it would just be like these jolts, really weird. And they eventually like subsided, and then I got back on it, and it's fine. But I don't I know next time when I decide to go off that I'm gonna have to like wean somehow. I don't want to go.
Cold turkey is not recommended for anybody. So now,
you
I
couldn't do
mean,
cold
like,
turkey. You'll unalive yourself.
yeah.
So Lucy, you put
So
what
were
you
you
put
on
up here?
ADHD meds, depression meds?
I was depression meds. It was
Really?
escitalopram, yeah, or like anxiety stuff. Yeah.
But you seem so happy, Brad.
Because he gets to be around me once a week.
They were right.
I feel it's
I
like
got
the
it
flu.
back.
I feel like it goes away sometimes, comes back sometimes.
It's okay.
I
I was
gotta
on an
chill.
antidepressant when I went through my divorce.
So Lucy, what'd you put up here? You got your
was like, what is
YouTube thing. What's
Link
that?
to Dr. William Davis, and
Okay.
he shows you how to get the capsules and how to make it, and
Okay, so
it's
that's a
really interesting.
picture-
Now there's
picture stomach.
probably 100 videos on L-reuteri and
Okay,
how
so
to make
what's
it.
this next one here? The oxycentric
Oxyceutics. That is Dr. William Davis's recommendation for, where you buy the capsules,
The
because you
capsules,
got to buy
okay.
the capsules. And when I watched his videos, he explained how he had bought from many different companies, and the thing that's tricky about probiotics is that they're supposed to be alive, and so if you're buying a powder, you kind of have to like worry, are they, like, if you go to Fresh Time or another natural grocery store, you'll see that there are probiotics you can buy that are refrigerated and some that aren't. So obviously you've got a higher deliverability if they're refrigerated.
Yvonne's been just quite the information
Yeah, she's
doler out there
awesome.
tonight.
Thank you,
She's
Yvonne.
just like getting it going here. The Dr. Mark Horowitz.
Oh, she's a viewer of the week.
Viewer
There
of the
you
week.
go.
Yeah, we
Viewer
should
of
have
the
viewer of the
week,
week.
Yes.
We don't want to make the other viewers mad, so we can't be
Yes,
singling
we
people
do.
out.
That
Well,
keeps
you have
them
to set a
engaged.
high
They'll
bar.
show up if they're mad at
Okay.
us.
Well, Yvonne, you've created a new thing on Mouthwash. You're viewer of the week. Wow. What do you get for that?
Echo when you say
I'll
that.
tell you, what you get for that is the same thing that the panelists get for the show, besides a hard time. So I was like, had the ADHD in the early 70s like that. And I think I was about 1 year away from getting the Ritalin, or maybe one more bad activity. Yeah. So
what, they gave you cross country instead?
Nothing. They just said, hey,
they gave
my
you
mom,
cross country.
They gave me my mom I'll time you to go get the mail.
They
It's
gave
always
you,
my mom.
they gave you track and field.
It was like I go visit my grandpa, and he was doing the Hayden water line down in Seymour, Indiana. And he said, oh, Johnny, we got to go check the water meter. So he would pull up, and I would run out and run back and look at the water meter. I'm like, and years later, I realized he knew where all the water meters were. He just wanted me to go run a little energy.
I bet you
off.
had really long legs too, and you.
I was like a gangler.
I couldn't find it. But I'll go look again.
It looked like a giraffe trying to get to the water hole. It was terrible. It was. There's
a really big dog back there.
Yeah, I was. Oh, my dad used to take me hunting with his buddies, and I was the rabbit dog. I would literally run the rabbits down that they wounded, or I'll tell you, one time we had a big snow, like 12, 14 inches. I caught 22 rabbits and put them in our garage in our neighborhood.
Live?
Yeah, because they couldn't run in the snow.
Awesome.
They were. Yeah, I was just
that's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
and then my
hilarious,
dad, so this was before we had the automatic garage door opener. This was in the 70s. And my dad comes home and opens up the garage, and all these rabbits come running out. Well, he caught 2 of them, and guess what we had for dinner? Stories. good.
Your dad,
That's
in
a
his
true
mind, he's like,
story.
"Oh my God, look at all this food."
Yeah, look at
Okay,
all.
so
Yeah,
I'd like to put out just a small thing for people that have might be concerned about, coming food crisis and things. Rabbits don't really make much noise. And their poop is really, really good for your garden. It's not hot. You can put it on there right away. People make a lot of money selling rabbit poop. But the point
Did you say
is
it's
that,
not
you can
hot?
well, it's
it's
not
not
like
hot,
got a
right?
lot
Like
of
like chicken
fertilizer.
manure is hot. It's
It's
really high
hot.
in high,
It's high
it's high in
nitrogen.
nitrogen. So if you
Oh,
put chicken manure directly on your plants while it's fresh, it'll actually kill your plants. It'll chemically burn it. But rabbit poop you can put on right away. So people love rabbit poop.
like
And
little
it's really
pellets.
expensive.
It
Actually,
looks like
good
raisins
rabbit poop.
too. You
Yeah,
can
they're just
also
little
serve it as
pellets.
raisins to your guests. but,
Oh, John, you were so bad. Anyway, I'm just putting that out
don't come
there.
to my
You
house.
could, s- you could, you could get 2 or 3 does and, $1 and keep yourself in rabbit meat for a year. And it is the best livestock animal as far as, your food cost to weight ratio when you butcher them.
That's how I got.
Yep.
Thor's so wrong. It's a chicken farm is how I got rich. I know John Russ, but hey, I got some chickens. And David
No,
Waters,
that's amazing.
his
A
dog
million
walked
eggs a
around.
day or something?
19
Oh
million
yeah.
eggs a day, 19 million eggs, 22
Yeah.
million chicken. That is like hard to even imagine, isn't it? Now the bird flu's coming around and all that, so it's a fun time of the year to be a chicken guy.
Listen, but Trump's got it all solved, guys. Like those prices are going to drop.
We got to
4
bring
days.
You know
Trump
how
into it.
I was able to solve the
4
bird
days.
flu problem in my house. I just turned off mainstream TV.
Yeah, that's true. My chickens seem to be perfectly fine. They got no flu symptoms. I don't hear them coughing out there, and none of them are puking up. So I think they're good.
Here's a conspiracy theory. So you know how everybody's body positive nowadays? It's because Victoria's Secret's not sending that catalog anymore. Not the one she used to send in the 90s.
Oh man.
Oh
Okay,
my
Lucy.
Well,
God.
I can get down
Okay,
with Victoria.
it's official. Everyone had a conspiracy tonight. That's the
No,
first.
but think about it, Lucy. Think about like those magazines were coming to the house.
Oh,
Those
that is an excellent point. I was a ballerina when I was younger, and I went to Broad Ripple High School for the performing arts program. We had actually a ballet magnet program. I was 128 pounds. I'm 5'7", and every Friday we would weigh in, and every Friday my teacher, God bless her, she would be like, "Lucy, you're such a wonderful dancer and you're so lyrical, but you really need to lose 15 pounds." And so I would cry. I would cry because I was so horribly fat. And then here I am, this little Mormon girl, and my little ballerina friends, they're managing by taking what were they called? Mini thins or something? It's like diet pills. But I guess now they're actually methamphetamines or amphetamines or something. But yeah, all the little ballerina girls were taking appetite suppressant amphetamines. But I'm a good little Mormon girl, so I didn't. And then we had one girl from Brownsburg. Her parents actually paid like private school tuition for her to go to the public school. So she would dance 3 classes a day. So this girl's dancing 7 hours a day. She would do a 4-ounce pop top can of tuna and a 4-ounce yogurt, and that was all she ate all day. And it ruined her digestive system. And it's kind of gross, but like you couldn't dance around her because the fumes emanating from her ruined digestive system were
Oh.
intense. And she wasn't a very good
Wow,
dancer. So
that's
that made
a
it even
really
sadder.
that's a really uplifting story. I did see. Speaking of Janet Dixon, I did see her yesterday at the State House. See, I moved away from that. And she did not have
Can we
any
agree
odor.
that I had a good conspiracy theory though? People today, women in 2023, 2024, they're allowed to be body positive because they're not getting body shamed every day in their mailbox. Brad, don't roll your eyes.
Tiffany, Baby Got Back came out like what 30 years ago.
It was a dude getting the Victoria's
Yeah, but
Secret
it took a lot to kick
and it's
in,
the
Brad.
way
But I'm
that
saying,
the
like,
catalog would circulate. Women would
Fine.
get it, men would look at it, and men hold up this idea as to what beautiful is. Women are trying to attain it, but now you don't get the catalog.
Ever since the
There was
Kardashians and the
Twiggy.
big booty thing came out, that
I
was
love the Torrid
a game
catalog.
changer.
Just send that out.
Twiggy.
What section's
That's all I
that
got to
in?
say. Twiggy.
All right. You guys are killing me. We've gone almost a world record show on this.
Oh no, we have not.
We're hour 41 into this mess. So all you did was prove that we need to get a doctor on next week. Maybe I work on Dr. Stock next week. Although we got the session coming on. That's something too. We got all these bills that are, but they're still
Put it out
percolating.
there.
Yeah, let's
Why
let's
don't
try
you
to.
Why don't you go out and find? Let's see what the anniversary date of Prozac is. Fluoxetine, which by the
Wait,
way
and
is built on a
why?
fluoride molecule because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's easier to mess up your brain if you can cross that blood-brain barrier. Which is the same reason they put polysorbate 80 in vaccines because it carries it right over the blood-brain barrier.
That's I would like to say Prozac. What was wrong with me, but I never had it, so I can't use that excuse. I was dropped as a child. That's what I'm
Prozac
going to go with.
Maybe missed a little
release
oxygen
date.
too.
Yeah, the oxygen was short. I don't know. It was
Still
all
to
that.
that.
But should we leave again on one of our famous things that we have, because I still got them all up here and all that. So let's do Jay Hart on the way out, and then I'll see you guys next week after me and Tiffany will have inauguration stories, and I may try to reach out
Coming
to
to you
Dr.
live from
Rub
the
it in.
jail.
Rub it in.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you don't want to go? Oh, are you?
No, I
did
really
you
don't.
want to go, or are you mad because your woman's not getting installed?
Oh, no.
So you're double
He's not
mad.
mad.
Are you double mad?
Double mad? Are you super mad?
I actually don't know what I would be mad about. I think it would be funny as hell to
Big
go.
mad.
You guys would have to kind of like not protect me, but protect me. I feel
Yeah,
like.
we'd have to. You'd be having to wear a mask.
We would we wouldn't put a sign on you.
Then I'll
like,
get my ass kicked even quicker.
Yeah.
Well,
we're trying to help.
You got.
You know, we're
friends.
Republicans, so we could
If we get a
come
couple
heavily
hits in,
armed.
if we get a couple hits in, is that gonna be offended if we hit on you too?
No, if you guys hit me first, then maybe like they'll be like, "Oh, he's
Oh
already
yeah.
getting beat
We'll
up."
fake hit you. We'll work on some championship wrestling moves. All right, I'm going to end this with Jay Hart. How about that? And Drew. How about that? You guys good with that?
Thank you all for coming.
All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Goodbye,
we'll see
friends.
We'll see you next week if we don't get arrested storming the Capitol, right, Tiffany?
Dude, you know, if I get arrested, they're going to beat me to death. You
won't stand a
know
chance.
that's going to happen.
I will get out with my card.
Right.
You already know
Oh,
what
I
card
wish
I'm
I had a
talking
card.
about.
I need somebody
You
needs
don't
to
have a
make a
card.
card.
You
I need
don't
a
No,
have
be
card.
careful, guys. On the day before, isn't that when everything like isn't
What,
Trump
the
doing
rally?
something on- Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to that too. I got tickets to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Yeah,
rally.
be careful with
But I
that
do
one.
need a card, though. I need my WP card.
Well, stick close to me. I'll make sure you get thrown in jail.
Bonsoir.
All right. See ya. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Happy anniversary, Mouthwash.
Well, it's been 4 years of the Mouthwash Talk Show, and I want to wish John and all of his guests over the years a very happy anniversary. I look forward to many more episodes of the greatest talk show in Indiana.